Chancellor Dondi Plowman, Chancellor of the UT Knoxville campus, followed by Athletic Director Philip Fulmer, and UT System President Randy Board. I'd like to thank Chairman Compton for joining us today as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Chancellor Plowman, can...
Thank you, Tisha. Well, thank you very much for being with us today. Before I address the details of what we're announcing today, it's important that I thank many people, the University of Tennessee community, our fans, our alumni, our faculty, our staff, our student athletes, our coaches, for your patience and trust. I know this has been a difficult time while you've read all sorts of things in the media. You want answers, you want them quickly, and I've heard from many of you during that process. But I've also heard very clearly from you that you want this done the right way, which is why we are taking the time to conduct the careful investigation that has led to the decisions that we're going to be announcing today. Our administration is deeply committed to sustaining and winning across every sport and doing it with the highest integrity. You have our promise that we are going to do this the right way. Today, we are announcing important changes in the leadership of our football program that are intended to achieve both of these objectives, winning and winning with integrity. But it's important that first I provide the context for the changes that we're going to be announcing. So here's the basic sequence of events that led up to today. On November 13th, my office received a verbal report from a credible source about potentially serious NCAA violations committed by the football program. That information was immediately shared with the university's general counsel, who initiated an internal inquiry. Based on that inquiry and the seriousness of the allegations, the university's general counsel engaged an outside law firm on November 19th. The firm has extensive experience in NCAA compliance matters and is conducting an investigation and providing legal advice to me and the university. That firm is Bond, Shinnick, and King of Overland Park, Kansas. The investigation has been pursued diligently since then and is still continuing. I know that during that time, many of you have had questions that we could not answer, and I hope you will understand when we are done today why we could not respond and why, out of respect and fairness for all involved, it's so important for us to protect the integrity of this investigative process. It's also important to understand that aspects of the investigation are continuing and there will still be questions we cannot answer today. As is our responsibility, we have informed the SEC and the NCAA about the allegations, and in December, the NCAA opened a formal case related to this matter. Athletic Director Fulmer and I received an update Friday afternoon from Bond, Shinnick, and King, and with our compliance staff to clarify things we'd heard. While the investigation is continuing, the information presented to us indicates serious violations of NCAA rules. They occurred, and that these serious infractions warrant immediate action. While I would like today to lay out the entirety of what has been shared with us about the investigation, the fact is I cannot while the investigation continues. When we can do so without compromising the investigation and without violating NCAA bylaws, we will do that. For now, I can tell you this. The information provided to date indicates a significant number of serious NCAA rules violations. While we have no choice but to continue to ask for your patience while both the university and NCAA investigate, the personnel actions we are announcing today are an indication of the gravity of what we have discovered. Today, Athletic Director Fulmer and I issued termination letters to the following: assistant football coaches Brian Niedermeyer and Shelton Felton. Also, 4 members of our on-campus football recruiting staff. Additionally, our Director and Assistant Director of Football Player Personnel, and finally, a football analyst quality control coach. That brings me to the question of our head coach. Coach Jeremy Pruitt is the leader of the football program. He is responsible for hiring assistant coaches and the staff and making sure that those who report to him comply with the NCAA rules. This is written into his employment contract. In addition, under the NCAA bylaws, he is presumed responsible for the actions of all staff members who report to him, either directly or indirectly. Coach Pruitt hired and was responsible for monitoring all 9 employees that we have issued termination letters to today. Based upon what we know, it is clear that Coach Pruitt did not adequately promote an atmosphere of compliance and or monitor the activities of the coaches and the staff who reported to him. Accordingly, today, Athletic Director Fulmer and I agree that we have no choice but to move forward with terminating Coach Pruitt. He was provided his termination letter this afternoon. This is not what any of us want for our football program or for our university. What is so disturbing, as demonstrated by the scope of these employment actions we are announcing today, is the number of violations and the number of people involved, and their efforts to conceal their activities from our compliance staff and from leadership within the athletic department. Most of all, we deeply regret the impact this may have on our many student athletes, particularly the vast majority of our football players who've had no involvement in this matter at all. We have a path forward. Philip and I agree that defensive assistant coach Kevin Steele should be named acting head coach. Although he only recently joined the Volunteers, he has the right leadership experience, having been a former head coach at Baylor and defensive coordinator at Auburn. He also served as the interim head coach at Auburn and is widely considered a top recruiter. Coach Steele has deep volunteer roots, having played here and coached here in the past. We will give him the support he needs to keep the program moving forward towards success. Philip and I also discussed the need to search for a new head coach as soon as possible. In the course of that discussion, Philip concluded he thought it best and suggested that a new coach and a new athletic director form a partnership that could provide long-term stability and success for our football program. And he suggested that I hire a new athletics director to select the new head football coach. As you know, Philip came out of retirement to take his current position and never intended for it to be long-term. Philip has offered to bridge the gap and stay in his position until a new athletic director is ready to take over. And you will hear more from him in a moment. But I do want to emphasize this. Philip Fulmer is demonstrating why he's a legend at UT. Once again, agreeing to serve the university he loves. And I thank him, Philip, and for his family's commitment to the University of Tennessee. And I also want to underscore there is no allegation, nor has anything been said that suggested that Philip was in any way involved or knew anything about any of this. I have relied on Philip's counsel since the day I arrived, and I will continue to rely on his assistance and advice even after he retires as athletic director. His sterling reputation in college athletics and his knowledge will be assets to us, to me, as these next 2 searches proceed. We have already enlisted the services of Parker Executive Search Firm to lead the search for a new athletic director. Our plan is to have a new athletic director in place as soon as possible, and we're optimistic about our future and our ability to attract a strong leader who will then hire the right football coach. Now, I realize many people would prefer we make those hires in the opposite order, but I hope everyone will accept the judgment that this is the way for us to have the long-term success we all want, for now and for the long term. We feel a profound sense of responsibility to get this right for our student athletes, our staff, and fans, and I am highly confident we will do so. Thank you. And now I'd like Athletic Director Fulmer to say a few words.
Well, thank you, Dondi. None of us obviously are pleased to be here under these circumstances. We are all deeply disappointed in the individuals who engaged in the behavior described in the report that we received. As the Chancellor explained, our general counsel and law firm gave us the report, and it became clear to both of us that new leadership was necessary in the football program. The unexpected need to hire a new coach caused me to reevaluate my place in the organization. I knew we need stability and continuity at Tennessee, and our next football coach needs to be on our sideline for 10 years or more. And I am confident that we will find that coach, but also am confident that he will want and need to know who his athletic director is going to be for the duration. I asked Chancellor Plowman if we could revisit my position, and she agreed. My thoughts are, I'm 70 years old. I am not going to be the athletic director at age 80. It was always my expectation I would move on from athletics sooner rather than later. It only makes sense that I make that move this semester so that a new coach with a new athletic director can implement their vision together. To our great alumni and fans and friends, I am deeply sorry that we have arrived at this day in our history. To my staff and support groups and faculty and administration, I want to say a hearty thank you for everything that you've done for me in my time here as the athletic director. We have many fine young men, coaches, and administrators in our program. We all know that UT has an outstanding history in academics and athletics. It also demands that we do things the right way and within the rules. I'm proud of that. And we can do that and compete in the greatest conference in the country. As hard as it is, this is a fresh start. I really appreciate Kevin Steele stepping in and helping. He wanted to come home and help his school any way that he could. I appreciate the leaders of our football team and our remaining staff, and I know they will do an outstanding job holding it together and helping to get football back on track. I will tell our current players and new signees, and will tell future players, this is a great place to go to school and a great place to play football. As dark as this day is, there's a light. I ask our great alumni and fans to be supportive and lift up this program as we fight through these difficult times. Thank you, and I believe that President Randy Boyd would like to make some remarks, and then we'll be happy to take your questions.
Thank you, Coach. Well, I share Chancellor Plowman's and Coach Fulmer's disappointment. None of us are happy to be here today under these circumstances, but I also share Dondi and Philip's optimism for the future. The future is bright, and the steps we have announced today will help assure that it is. I want to emphasize that we are prepared to take firm action, not only to those that we discipline who may have acted badly, but to ensure that everyone understands the culture of our entire University of Tennessee system, that we put integrity first. If you can't win the right way, you don't belong here. If there is anyone in our athletics departments in Knoxville or elsewhere who hasn't heard that message yet, you're hearing it now. If you can't win the right way, you don't belong here. I want to commend the Chancellor and the university leadership for taking firm action, for taking it the right way. Like all of you, I've been reading the papers in recent weeks, and I've read the speculation and the pressure that has been placed on Chancellor Plowman to act. But integrity starts at the top. And she understood the only way to handle this matter was to let the independent investigation take its course without interference. When the investigation reached a point that she had enough information to make informed decisions, she acted decisively and has taken a course in which he has my full support and also that of the chairman, Compton, and the full board of directors. Lastly, I want to echo Chancellor Plowman when she said about the incredible legacy of Philip Fulmer. Coach, this university owes you a deep debt of gratitude for all that you've done to make the Volunteer Nation proud. We're as proud of you today as we were that night in Tempe when you hosted that trophy above your head. You have never stopped working to make your university better, and our values that you have made, you are a great ambassador for Tennessee. Our overall athletics program is better and on a more equal footing because of your leadership. I want to thank you for standing with Chancellor Plowman as we make this very important transition in our athletic department. And like Chancellor Plowman, I look forward to your continued contributions and guidance as we move forward in our search for new leaders. We know you love Tennessee, and you should know Tennessee loves you back. We appreciate you.
Thank you, President Boyd, AD Fulmer, and Chancellor Plowman. We're going to open the floor up to questions. Casey has a microphone. She will walk around. Jimmy?
Any idea when the ongoing investigation will be complete?
Don't have a good feel for that. We hope it's nearing its final stages, but then the NCAA also continues on their own. So our part of it, we hope, is completed fairly soon.
Yes.
When did the NCAA actually start getting involved in this investigation? When did you guys bring them along? And how's that process been over the last few weeks?
So they became our council, involved them, and I know that they've been involved more actively in the last week to 10 days. I think that's right, Tisha, something like that.
Yes.
When you look back at the last 3 years, how do you think Jeremy Pruitt's tenure is going to be remembered here?
Coach, do you want to start with that one?
Yes. We found the program, in quite a mess at the time. I think we definitely have upgraded the program in general, relationships on campus, relationships period. Certainly the recruiting has been good. There's some really outstanding young men in the program, not that there wasn't before. Definitely there's just lots of good things that have happened. This is very unfortunate in the sense that we're going to have to work really hard to keep it from setting us back.
Chancellor, in the documents that was put out, it said that you hired a search firm for the athletic director on the 16th of January. Coach Fulmer, when did you go to the Chancellor and about the decision to retire? And was that prior to knowing that you were going to that this decision was going to be made today in terms of the termination of Coach Pruitt, or was that made afterwards? I'm trying to figure out the timing because it appears you hired a search firm for a new athletics director at the end of last week before today's termination was announced today.
That search firm conducts searches for athletic directors and football coaches, and it was an opportunity. We did that after Philip and I had talked, but it gives us the opportunity to have them available when we need them for either of these two searches.
Jordan?
When Kevin Steele was hired last week, was he kind of given privy to this investigation, and did he know there was a chance that he may be serving as active head coach?
He did not know that he may be serving as active head coach. He did know that there was an investigation going on.
Trey?
When,
Madison.
Oh, I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Trey, sorry.
When the allegations were brought towards you and the multiple staff members, I think I count a total of 10 people that were let go today. Were you surprised how deep this actually went into this investigation and the people that were involved in this? And what was the communication process between you, Chancellor, and the athletic director, Philip Fulmer?
So, Athletic Director, I'll start. Phil, we were briefed extensively, and President Boyd was there as well on Friday. And it was stunning. The number of people involved, as I said in my comments, and the number of incidents. And so, yes, that was shocking. And that's partly what you see in the level of the actions that we're taking today.
I think you answered it.
Madison?
Mrs. Plowman, can you just speak to the level of NCAA violations we might be looking at? Are we looking at a level 1 or a level 2 with this many people involved? And also with the violations, how are you going to address future head coaches that you interview that might have a violation that they're walking into?
So what our council has told us is that we're looking at level 1 and level 2 violations. I don't know yet exactly how many or exactly the specifics of it. I think that the issue for us is we want to win here, but we want to win with integrity. And we're going to be looking for coaches who have that same philosophy. And I'm very optimistic that there are many of them out there. And I underscore what the president said. And so that will be important criteria. But let me say again, our first action is to hire an athletic director. And that person then will, in conversation with a number of us, begin that process of looking for a football coach.
David and then Blake.
As you look to next year, how many athletes have jeopardized eligibility at the moment as a result of the investigation that might not be on the field in the fall?
So that's a question I can't answer. I would like to give you everything, but I don't have it. So I don't want to do anything that violates any names or confidences.
Blake?
Chancellor, how far back do these violations date? Are they contained within Coach Pruitt's coaching tenure? And then second part of the question, what qualities and experience are you looking for in the next athletic director?
So these are incidents that came up during Coach Pruitt's tenure. I can't say much more than that about when they started, what all they were. And the last part of your question was, what are the qualities I'm looking for in an athletic director? We're looking for someone who is a strong leader and who has principles and values, who also has experience in hiring coaches and who can help us look towards the future. We've got a great future here. And as disappointed as we are, we're determined to get this right and to get a good person in place, both as AD and as head coach. So I think leadership and integrity are huge, and then experience in this role before will be important as well.
Go Wes and then Jimmy.
I believe you said that you had a credible source at the beginning that got this thing kick-started. Did that come from inside or outside of the building?
That source was someone who seemed credible to us. I really don't want to reveal much more about that, but it was very credible. Let me just leave it at that.
Jimmy?
Two things. One, Coach Fulmer, will you assist with the hiring of your replacement?
Jimmy, say that again, please.
Will you assist in the hiring of your replacement?
If Chancellor Plowman asks me to, I'll be glad to help. She asked me to.
Let me just say that also one of the things we're going to do in this next search is, as I said, use a search process. And I'm going to be seeking advice from Philip, from Randy, from John Compton, from other people, as well as the experts with the firm on how to go about this and what names might be the ones we want to go after.
And secondly, Chancellor, do you intend to have a negotiated buyout with Coach Pruitt? Do you intend to not pay him anything? Where do you stand with his buyout?
This termination was for...
I'll address them. Dondi will be present to do so, and Coach Steele will be there as well. As I said earlier, this is a great place to go to school, a great place to get an education and play sports. With this challenge that we have, there's actually opportunities, for more and more people to look at the university as this transfer portal that's out there has created havoc all over the country. So as many challenges as we have, also look at it as there's opportunities there as well. We've got a very credible staff. We've got a fantastic facility. We've got a great brand name, and we will work diligently to keep our players here and welcome the new ones, and then continue the recruiting process that's going on right now till February 3rd.
I'll let Dondi conclude, and I would just like to make a comment, since I'm not going to be there this afternoon with the players, but I want to stress this point to the current players, to future players, and their parents. If you would put integrity first, then this is the place you want to come to. I'm hopeful that parents and students that want to come to a place that puts integrity first, then they'll want to come to the University of Tennessee.
I would like to just conclude by saying, when student athletes come here, there's at least three things we're committed to doing. One is helping them achieve what they want to achieve with their sport. We're helping them get an education. And the third and important thing is we're training future leaders. And our student athletes are going to be the leaders of this state and this country. And we take that seriously, and nothing about this decision changes any of our ability and continuous efforts in those areas. This fall, I met with almost every sport team at the invitation of Philip. We went around to almost every one of our teams. And when you meet our athletes, you just see the most amazing students. Many of them have come to school with hardships and disappointments. And some of them already know that life has challenges and uncertainties, and I'm really counting on them to step forward and to continue to lead as we see them do every single day on this campus. And they remind us every day why we're doing what we're doing. And they're inspiring, and I want their parents to hear that, and the parents of future Vols to hear that. It's important to us.
Thank you all. I appreciate everyone coming. We will have a clean feed available.
The video that was just presented to you on Mix 104.1 and also on our Facebook page and Mix TV and all the other social media platforms that we have. So we are expecting him to call in momentarily and have just another general conversation with us and maybe check out some of the things that he was listening to as we had the board there. We heard Chancellor Plowman was there, President Randy Boyd, and then, of course, current athletic director Philip Fulmer all spoke there from their table that they were set at for this press conference. We're going to run over some of the notes here in just a moment. If you're just tuning in to the Mix Afternoon Drive, this is a little bit more of a different set of circumstances than we normally do. And yes, we understand that this is sports, but here in good old Tennessee and right here in Bradley County, we know that the majority of people, they bleed orange. Let's just get right to that. And so when you think about the University of Tennessee football and the program and just what has happened the last several years, this is another big step, maybe even for some people, whether you're on the outside of the bubble as a Vol fan or maybe inside the bubble, loving the Tennessee athletic programs, whether it's basketball, football, or whatever, you may say, well, this is just yet another black eye on the program that is going to cause a setback. And to sit here and say that that is not the case, would be probably foolish on our part here as far as what we're bringing you with coverage. Now, during that, we were looking for some circumstances too. I believe we're getting a backup I-75. I believe I'm going to try to see if I could check this out while we're waiting for our phone call. Looks like it's I-75 southbound. It's going to be right past mile marker 20 heading down White Oak Mountain, and that is going to cause a backup here for a little bit. So we hope that that you will be able to watch that. Again, it's I-75 southbound. We're noticing right past mile marker 20, probably closer to mile marker 17. Oh, it's around the Paul Huff effect. Okay, I'm on the wrong end of that. I zoomed in too much. Well, we actually got it on both. Yep. Yeah, we actually got things going on both sides of that. It's going to be southbound on Paul Huff Parkway as well, heading down from the exit 27 down towards exit 25. That is a backup. We can see that. Looks like an 18-wheeler has got things blocked up on one side. Looks like the left-hand side is what is blocking up right now, and people are having to merge over to one lane. That's what's going on mile marker 26. And I was zooming in on the other end of town because we typically, if you live in this area, know that it's typically around mile marker 20 is where we have lots of circumstances this time of the afternoon with traffic. And we are noticing traffic I-75 southbound around mile marker 20. Now, I could probably say that would be attributed to what is going on around the Paul Huff Parkway exit, because of the slowdown there, tractor and trailers having to get over into one lane. They get past exit 25 and down around exit 20, and then that's where it always slows down anyway. And so, yeah, Shelton, go ahead and call, and we'll get you on. And we're looking for Shelton to call in as we do our traffic update. So, again, right around Paul Huff Parkway, heading south on I-75, a problem there. You're going to notice a problem for quite some time, and then you are going to pick up your traffic a little bit, and then you're going to hit another situation as you get down to mile marker 20 there, causing some issues. So that is your Don Ledford Cleveland Mixed Highway Patrol report for this Monday afternoon. So even though we have sunny skies, we do have some situations on the interstate there. We're going to check in real quick with that once again. Did see something come up on the SmartWay app. It is multiple vehicles in a crash right there at mile marker, actually 26. That says the left shoulder is blocked. We were just mentioning that. So that is definitely going to cause some problems at mile marker 26. So if you're trying to get off Paul Huff Parkway heading southbound, about the time you get to Paul Huff Parkway, you're going to notice traffic standing still there. And then let's see here, right around mile marker 25, that exit, things kind of bottle up again for you heading southbound. And then they pick up until you get to mile marker 20. And then going down White Oak, you're going to slow down once again. That's the latest that we have from the Don Ledford Cleveland Mixed Highway Patrol team. Right now, we're going to go back and join Stephen Shelton. He's with us once again, part of our Vols radio coverage that we do during football season. And Shelton, like us, you were tuned in and listening to what Chancellor Plowman, President Randy Boyd, and current athletic director Philip Fulmer was talking about. What did you take from the conversation?
Well, I took that they've known about this for quite some time. When they hired the attorneys to come in to do their investigation, it was basically just to save the university the $12.6 million buyout of former Coach Pruitt. So these are some serious, they're level one serious violations of the NCAA. 9 people have lost their job as of today from that coaching staff of course, Coach Pruitt, first of all, but then you've got some assistant coaches there that were also involved in these, it looks like paying of players and family members. Coach Niedermeyer, who was one of the top recruiters in the nation, has been relieved of his duties. Shelton Felton is also gone. 4 members of the on-campus football recruiting staff gone. The director and assistant director of football operations gone. This just goes on and on and on. Quality control coach is gone. When this gets that deep, and now having Coach Fulmer being removed, or let me say retiring as athletic director, this had to be known by the upper part of the athletic department. It's just shocking. It really is, because one of the things that Coach Pruitt talked about is integrity. when he was hired at the University of Tennessee, and that's just not the case here. This is far from it. So this is a big blow. This is not over with. This is also going to the ramifications of this could go deep and could have a few years of Tennessee football in some trouble, no matter how successful they become. So this is going to hurt on the coaching search. I believe this could hurt bringing in a few coaches. Names that were being thrown out earlier may now turn away from this because of the fact that you've got kids transferring out of the program. Your depth's going to be gone, and on top of this, you're going to be staring at the NCAA for the next 3 to 5 years.
Again, we're joined with Stephen Shelton, part of our sports team here at WCLE. We just got done listening to the press conference from the University of Tennessee. Chancellor Plowman was very adamant, said that she was deeply disappointed in the individuals that this happened in, and they did ask the question. One of the members in the audience asked the question: was this investigation complete? And they're saying they're hoping that it's nearing a completion stage as far as internal, and then the NCAA will have its own investigation. So, Shelton, it seems like even though it may be the internal side of things coming to an end, the NCAA is just now really getting started.
Yeah, with the actions, though, that Tennessee's already taken, with them hiring the outside law firm they'll hand that information over to the NCAA, and along with the SEC, hand that information over to those two organizations and let them, whatever penalties may come along with this. It's really a black eye to a football program, and it's a double black eye. If you're going to cheat, at least win. I mean, you're 3-7. If I'm going to cheat, I'm going to win. I mean, that's if you want to talk about a loser in life, cheat and then still lose. I mean, that's wow. But regardless, this is going to change a lot of things. Kevin Steele, of course, will be the interim coach and for the foreseeable future. I said earlier on the air I thought Hugh Freeze would take this job by Friday. They're saying now they're going to wait and let the new athletic director make the hire. I'm hearing whispers that's not necessarily true, but we'll wait and see. But this is something they've got to act fast on. It's January 18th. We're just around the corner to spring practice. That's a very important time for the new coaching staff to put their offense or defense in place. So, again, just a shocking day for Tennessee football to have these types of violations, these serious violations, and now not even allegations. These are actually violations when you have your own school using that kind of language. So, again, Coach Pruitt this will be a black eye on his coaching career and may hurt him down the road. But, again, this is something that I think at the end of the day Tennessee knew was happening. I think that's why Eric Gray didn't play the last game of the season. I think he is involved in this as well. This is really incredible, and I think this is something, again, that will haunt Tennessee for years to come.
You know, it's a circumstance where we talk about Pruitt's tenure there, and I think that that part of the conversation that Chancellor Plowman said is that they, at least right now, they believe everything that's happened with this happened underneath the Pruitt regime. It's not anything. Somebody asked a question: was this possibly going on before Pruitt got there, and it just kind of maybe was under the radar and continued on? But they're saying that they thought all of this probably happened under the Pruitt regime. And I'm going to let you comment on that. Then also, is there any possible way that Pruitt didn't know all these things was going on underneath his leadership?
First of all, I agree with Chancellor Plowman. I agree with her when she says that, because when Coach Jones left or was relieved of his duties at Tennessee, and there was no one retained, so it's really there'd be no way for that to carry on. And so I do agree. I do believe her when she says that. What was the second part of that question?
Well, you know, the question came up, was there any possible way of accountability that Pruitt did not know that all of these other folks was involved in what they were doing?
No, I don't think so. I really don't. When you're talking about that kind of money, it's same thing. You know, everyone in Auburn knew that Cam Newton got paid. They knew the money ran through his father's organization there. I mean, some things you just can't keep quiet. And when you're talking about if it's this gross of allegations, now confirmed actions by this coaching staff, there's no way that Coach Pruitt could have said, "Don't tell me what you're doing." But even when you say, "Don't tell me what you're doing," you know something's going on. But I think, and at the end of the day, I think you probably saw that Coach Pruitt knew, and I also think you saw the athletic director, Fulmer, knew. I really think that because he's stepping down along with this, I think that everyone that was involved definitely knew something was going on. But whoever the whistleblower was in this, which we've heard that a former quarterback's father sent the first email or text message to get this whole thing started. I haven't been able to confirm that or not, but whoever the whistleblower was in this has done just incredible damage to this football program. But may be the best thing for them moving forward.
All right, Sheldon, I got a couple more questions, and we're going to wrap up our coverage here. It's been a very busy afternoon. I appreciate you calling back in and giving us your thoughts on this. Okay, I want you to take off your hat that you've got on right now, which is your reporting hat, and I want you to put on either what is now the interim coach Steele, that hat, or maybe even athletic director Fulmer's hat. That they've got a team meeting this afternoon, I guess is what I'm trying to say. What do you go in and tell your football team this afternoon when you have that team meeting?
Whatever you say, you better have a lot of plugs, because that boat's sinking. So you have to plug this thing as fast as possible. I think that my message to the team, if I were going in, if I was interim coach Steele or Coach Fulmer, that it's a new day at Tennessee. I think that you've got to say that we've taken some steps to rectify some issues with some players. That moving forward, this is going to be a program that you can be proud of. That this is going to be a program that we're going to put back. This is a championship program that we're going to get back to and hang in there with us. I mean, you're right now. You're pleading. You're literally pleading with 18, 19, 20, and 21-year-old young men to please stay in Knoxville. Do not transfer out, because if people start transferring out, this program, I mean, you could see this program with 50 or 60 players next year. We're talking about 2-star and 3-star talent because they can't grab anybody else. They've already lost a 4-star receiver today that decommitted as soon as the news hit.
All right, I'm going to ask you a final question, and this is kind of I'm going to let you elaborate on it before we go. Again, we're speaking with Stephen Shelton with our sports team. We always say Stephen Shelton with Cleveland Insurance, but today you've been much more than just representing Cleveland Insurance. You're representing our station. When we talk about sports and breaking sports news like today, you are our figurehead, and we appreciate you coming on today and giving our listeners the credibility that you bring to our broadcast. But here's my final question. Pruitt's replacement will be Tennessee's 6th different head coach, going back to Fulmer, who was fired at the end of the 2008 season. So my question is kind of a two-part question. Why is Tennessee, with its elite history, having such a hard time getting it right? And why, over the past few coaches, would they come in knowing that they're going to be underneath a microscope because they've got to win, and let these things go on that we've seen with this regime and just think that it's going to be all right? Well,
if you talk about facilities, Tennessee's in the top 3 in the nation. If you talk about resources, Tennessee does not have any lack of resources when it comes to being able to pay coaches. So when you talk about playing in the SEC, there's no better place to play. So you've got $1 million question there. I don't know, and we're hearing names thrown around, but none of these names are some of the upper echelon names that you would think that would want to come to a place like Tennessee. I mean, Josh Rogers keeps talking about PJ Flick from Minnesota. This guy's done incredible things up there. His name's not on any list right now. So I don't understand what Tennessee used to be one of the most desired jobs in the nation. And people would just die to be able to run through that T as the head coach. Right now, people are doing all they can to keep from running through that T as the head coach. So I don't know, to answer your question. I don't understand. There's something up there that's not known or foreseen. Maybe are there boosters in the background that's trying to call too many shots? I don't know. But I do know if Tennessee doesn't get this right and get it right quickly, like you just said, it's been 2008 was Coach Fulmer's last year. He was 5-7. other than 2 or 3 years here or there, Tennessee has been a dismal program, and its fan base is taking just a punishment. And after a certain period of time, as you know, people will find other things to do and other things to spend their money on. And so I'm afraid that if this hire goes the way the last 2 or 3 have went, this Tennessee program could be one that's considered one of the lower echelon teams in the SEC.
Final comment I'm going to make here. I know I keep saying that, but there's so much information that comes out of this story. When Chancellor Plowman was asked a question about what was going to be owed to Pruitt, was it something that they would do a buyout? She says a buyout was for calls, so there will be no buyout. She said so he's going to lose the money because of this investigation. Is that what you understood from the?
Yeah, it's $12.6 million that they do not have to pay him. It was 60%, so it's $12.6 million that would have been 60% if they fired him without cause. Okay, so $12.6 million that he doesn't get. Now on top of that, now you've got other assistant coaches that will also not receive any compensation. So we're talking between $15 and $16 million the University of Tennessee just saved themselves by being able to fire Coach Pruitt and these 9 others with cause. So not only did you lose as a head football coach, but you also just cost yourself $12 million or more by not being able to coach at the University of Tennessee.
Yeah, and thinking I would just assume that you would never be able to make that kind of money after this stint of coaching anywhere else. So that probably was the peak for him, and now he's going to be back down at that low level when someone does take that chance again. Well, Shelton, thanks so much for calling in. What a day. I know that we've been hearing whispers of this. When we first came on the air, the question was asked, how far back did this go? And they said that it started off, the first report came out on November the 13th. So here we are on January the 18th. So over 2 months, this has been going on. And on November the 19th, they said they put their legal team together. So this is something that's been brewing on Rocky Top for quite some time, and it does finally come to a head today.
It does, and I would say that your next coach will probably be an offensive-minded coach. Now Peyton Manning is. He will lead this search. I think Peyton will be heavily invested in this. And so I will say that you'll probably see Peyton quite a bit moving forward over the next couple of months, and hopefully this thing is wrapped up. Like I said, they've got to have a head coach in place by the 1st of February. If they don't, this is just going to set this program back at least another year or 2.
All right, well, Shelton, thanks so much. We appreciate all the input, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right, thanks.
All right, Stephen Shelton right there, our good buddy, part of the Mix 104.1 team, and, of course, part of the WCOE sports team. You hear him, Jason Cox, and Steve Hartline throughout the football season here on the Rocky Top Review. Really no one besides Shelton and Stephen Cox and Steve knows the ins and the outs and the people and the contacts that they have to be able to get those insider information things that we do. So that's always a source we're going to go to when we have University of Tennessee news. And I'm sure this is not the last interview that we'll be talking about things that's going on at Rocky Top. All right, time for a break as we're going to sign off. I believe we've been on Mix TV or Facebook there for a while as we continued on with our coverage. We appreciate everybody that's been listening and watching in. This has been an exclusive coverage, breaking news from the Toyota of Cleveland news desk. So we appreciate that. We're going to take just a quick break. We're going to come back in just a second. Tell you what we're going to do. Since we went ahead and broke away from our Mix TV family, let's go ahead.